Do you want to know what I always see? People are always talking about how, jet fuel can't melt steel beams, the whole conversation about the jet fuel and the steel beams, and that's a valid conversation. And there's that counter argument made that, the jet fuel, it doesn't need to melt them, it just needs to weaken them. But think about something that Trump was quoted as saying back in an early news interview that I think was floating around more and more recently about when it happened, about how he couldn't believe how this plane was able to penetrate through this wall of the Twin Towers, this the structure. And that's something that no one talks about because think about this. I mean, how does that happen? And you may be thinking, well, it's traveling so fast. And well, think about this. Think about what happens to the human body when you jump from a high height and you splash into water. And- and your body hits that water like concrete. Now let's think of something even more extreme. Let's think about what happens when a bullet is fired into water. If it's a slow moving projectile, then it'll coast through the water for a little bit, it'll stop. But even at that point, it severely decreases in velocity at a quick rate. But what happens when a supersonic bullet is fired into water? Most people would think it would have an easier time penetrating through the water. No, no, it does not. It does not have an easier time penetrating through the water. Take a look at this. This old little Mythbusters scene about can you swim underwater deep enough to avoid bullets?
They disintegrated into tiny fragments because water resistance was simply too large. That is especially the case for the 50 caliber that travels at 3,000 feet per second because the drag is directly proportional to the square.
And now, of course, and people will say, oh, well, they'll say whatever. They'll say, this isn't a bullet, this is a plane, the tower, blah, blah, blah. And it's ridiculous. This plane is made predominantly of aluminum. Look at the difference in density between aluminum and steel, which this Twin Towers is made of. Steel is 3 times denser. The human body, when the human body hits water like concrete, human body is less dense than water is. But just by a small, but it doesn't matter. It's just by a small margin. They're almost the same. But with this, it's a huge margin. Think about the weight of the Twin Towers, the weight of the 747, less than 500 tons. What's the weight of one floor of the Twin Towers? It was estimated. At least 2,000 tons each. And it impacted multiple floors, not just one. Look at this outline here. It's amazing. I'm not saying that the plane wouldn't have crashed in and wouldn't have penetrated some way through the exterior structure and into the structure, but how they show how it just sliced through. Look at this. It's clean. It's like a laser cut. Look at this article here. You don't see stuff like this, but a science director article. How did the airplane wing cut through the exterior columns of the World Trade Center? Even these people know that the wing made of aluminum and even the density of jet fuel is not as dense as steel. Think about that. Think about that. It's called the splash effect. This plane shouldn't have been able to just pierce right through like it did. There is a stopping distance. That bullet still gets shredded by the water and turned into pieces because that water needs to move somewhere. It's called the law of inertia. Things just don't instantaneously displace. It's ridiculous. So just think about it. I mean, you got to be kidding me. 2,000 tons each just for one floor of the Twin Towers. Boeing 747, less than 500 tons. It's aluminum. That thing's in a cake. And yet those wings in that picture, they're still, look at that outline. Those wings were already slowing down dramatically in velocity by the time they impacted, and yet there's no different. There's clean cut like that. It's so picture perfect. Like it was made for the image, just to show that this was definitely a plane. And it's like, think about that old clip with Trump. I mean, look at what he's saying there. I mean, it's true. I mean, don't even look at it before when about afterwards. Just look at it. Just think about it. It's just there's something not right about it. And look at the other UFO videos too. There's tons of them.